Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Matching Accessibility Resources to Students' Needs introduction video. This training will delve into the accessibility resources provided on the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, or CASP, and the English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, or LPAC. We will review learning goals and success criteria of the training and where to find training resources. Let me take a moment and introduce myself. My name is Lily Rosenberger. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am currently a management analyst at the Kern County Office of Education. So let's take a minute to review the learning goals for this training. These videos are focused on providing you with an understanding of the importance of accessibility resources, the three basic categories of accessibility resources, and the process for matching students with appropriate accessibility resources for classroom instruction and on assessments. Now, here's our success criteria. Once you've watched all of the videos in this training, you'll be able to explain the purpose and importance of accessibility resources. You'll be able to describe the three categories of accessibility resources, and you'll be able to identify and match accessibility resources to be used on the CASP and on the LPAC on the basis of student need. So this training is meant to be watched in sequence at your own pace. Each of these topics is covered in a separate video. The training video series includes why use accessibility resources, what are accessibility resources, and how to match accessibility resources to students' needs. In addition to this video training series, we're also providing an optional virtual hands-on training where you can apply your learning. These virtual trainings are also an opportunity to collaborate with other educators from around the state and to ask questions unique to your students, school, or local educational agency or LEA. Registration for the hands-on training is available on casp.org and lpac.org. It is an expectation that prior to attending the live sessions, you have watched the entirety of the training videos. So we recognize that we will be going through a lot of information in the next few videos. We'll be sharing many resources and documents with you. And so for your convenience, we'll have them organized all on a web page so that you may have access to them today and in the future. You may have accessed this video from the web page. So the URL to this web page is all lowercase bit.ly/AR training series. Before we begin exploring the accessibility resources available in the assessments and during daily instruction, we would like to start with the why behind their use. To help us consider the importance of accessibility resources, I'd like you to consider an imaginary student. We'll call him Patrick. Patrick is a fifth grader who is a struggling reader. He attends daily reading interventions to develop the necessary reading foundational skills to become a fluent reader, but often becomes frustrated and disengaged when he's required to read grade level text in his mathematics class and in other classes. Imagine that Patrick is taking a mathematics chapter test with his class. The test comes in two formats. One presents the problems on paper that students must read independently. The other presents the problems on a computer screen and gives test takers the option of hearing the words read aloud through text-to-speech. What I want you to consider are these following questions. Which version of the test yields the more accurate score? The paper version or the computer version? Which provides Patrick's teacher, Mr. Hernandez, with more helpful information? And finally, which is fairer? Please pause the video and record your responses in your note-taking guide. We will have an opportunity to discuss your thoughts during the live follow-up session. In the past, we often talked about equality in education, that is, providing each student with the same educational opportunities. However, equal does not necessarily mean equitable. That is, not every student is able to succeed simply by providing them with the same opportunity. In this case, the opportunity to ride a bike. In Patrick's case, being able to access the math test and demonstrate his math skills and knowledge. When we give each child the same bike, some children are left out of the activity, and others are not experiencing the activity at its optimal state. When we provide all kids with what they need, they are all able to enjoy the full benefits of the activity. Similarly, when supports are provided to students who encounter challenges during daily instruction or on assessments receive them, they're better able to fully access daily instruction and assessments. Throughout this presentation, we'll be discussing the various assessments included in the California Assessment System, namely the Smarter Balanced for English Language Arts Literacy, or ELA, and mathematics, the California Science Test, or CAST, the California Alternate Assessments, or CAAs, for ELA, mathematics, and science, and the California Spanish Assessment, or CSA. These 4 assessments all fall under the general category of CASP tests. Additionally, California provides the LPAC. While not under the umbrella term of CASP, the LPAC is a vital part of California's assessment system. We may use one or more of these specific assessments during our discussion today as examples. But please keep in mind that all of these assessments play an important part in improving teaching and learning. Unless we note otherwise, the information and suggestions we provide for you apply to all of these assessments. Smarter Balance recognizes that the validity of these assessment results depends on each and every student being provided appropriate supports or resources as needed to help the student overcome challenges that may prevent an accurate demonstration of the student's skills and knowledge. Consider for a moment that in 2019, more than half of all California students scored below standard on the ELA assessment, and about 60% scored below standard on the mathematics assessment. Think for a moment how these statewide numbers might compare with your local students. When you think about the students who have yet to score at or above standard, why might that be? Was it because they didn't learn the skills and knowledge of their grade level standards? Or was it because they faced challenges that masked their performance on these assessments? These are questions to consider when determining resources to meet students' needs on the LPAC and all CASP assessments, including the CAST, the CSA, and even on the CAAs. These assessments strive to provide every student with a positive and productive assessment experience, generating results that are a fair and accurate estimate of each student's achievement. Furthermore, the CASP and LPAC are built on a framework of accessibility for all students, including English learners, students with disabilities, and English learners with disabilities. In the process of developing its comprehensive assessments to measure students' knowledge and skills as they progress towards college and career readiness, Smarter Balance in California recognized that the validity of assessment results depends on each and every student having appropriate accessibility resources when needed, based on the constructs being measured by the assessment. As we consider the need to provide accessibility for all, it is important to note that this is not just a moral stance, but a legal one. Indeed, as the quote illustrates, federal legislation requires that states create assessment systems that are accessible to all students. Specifically, note that the Every Student Succeeds Act calls for states to incorporate Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. we'll talk a little bit more about UDL. To understand why UDL is even necessary, we need to understand what problem it aims to solve. The image on the screen demonstrates that there is no average-sized human. Rather, what it depicts is that all people have a jagged size profile. This means that just because you are the tallest, it doesn't mean you are the heaviest. Or just because you have long legs, it doesn't mean you have an equally long torso. This tends to make sense to us when we consider people's physicality. Yet it is just as true when we consider how people learn. There is no average learner either. As this image depicts, people also have jagged profiles when it comes to their learning. For example, just because I may be strong with vocabulary, it does not necessarily mean that I have high reading fluency. Or just because someone may have a good memory skills, it does not necessarily mean that the person will be able to apply memorized facts in novel situations. So if there is no average learner, how do educators provide meaningful learning experiences that are truly accessible to all students? That's where UDL comes in. UDL provides a framework and suggestions to help educators design learning experiences and assessments that take into account the incredible variability inherent in all learners. The UDL framework is guided by these three main principles. First, there's the principle of engagement in green, which is connected to the affective network of the brain that regulates students' attitudes and feelings about incoming information, as well as their motivation to engage in specific activities. This is the why students want to learn and engage. Next, in the second box in purple, is the principle of representation, which is correlated to the recognition network that deals with incoming stimuli and affects what students learn. And then there's the principle of action and expression, the third box in blue, which is associated with a strategic network that mediates how students process incoming information based on their past experiences or background knowledge. In the next video, we will explore the variety of accessibility resources available to students during daily classroom instruction and on assessments, and how they've been designed to provide students with options for engagement, representation, and action and expression. By providing students with these options, we can minimize challenges during daily instruction and on assessments.